And godlike Telemachus was far from the first to descry her, for he was sitting with a heavy heart among the wooers, dreaming on his good father, if haply he might come from some whence, and making a scattering of the wooers there throughout the palace, and himself get honor and bear rule among his own possessions. Thinking thereon, he sat amongst the wooers, he saw Athena, and he went straight to the outer porch, for he thought it blame in his heart that a stranger should stand long at the gates. And halting nigh her, he clasped her right hand, and took from her the spear of bronze, and uttered his voice, and spake unto her the winged words, Hail, stranger! With us thou shalt be kindly entreated, and thereafter, when thou hast tasted meat, thou shalt tell us that whereof thou hast need. Therewith he led the way, and Pallas Athena followed. And when they were now within the lofty house, he set her spear that he bore against a tall pillar within the polished spear stand, where stood many spears besides, even those of Odysseus of the hardy heart. And he led the goddess and seated her on a goodly cavern, on a goodly carven chair, and spread a linen cloth thereunder, and beneath was a footstool for the feet. For himself he placed an inlaid seat hard by, apart from the company of the wooers, lest the stranger should be disquieted by the noise, and should have loathing for the meal, being come among overweening men, and also that he might ask him about his father that was gone from his home. Then a handmaid bare water for the washing of hands in a goodly golden ewer, and poured it forth over a silver basin to wash withal, and drew to their side a polished table. And a grave dame bare wheaten bread, and set it by them, and laid on the board many dainties, giving freely of such things as she had by her. And a carver lifted and placed by them platters of divers kinds of flesh. And nigh them he set golden bowls, and a henchman walked to and fro, pouring out to them the wine. Well, here we are, meeting Telemachus. Listen, we're going to have to bear through my Midwestern accent as I try to get through some of these names. I do put effort into trying to sound a little classier, a little more authentic. But sometimes that nasally A is going to come out, and I apologize for it in advance. Telemachus is the son of Odysseus, who in passing was mentioned yesterday. Today we get his name, the godlike Telemachus, meeting the literal god Athena here. Let me mention right up front of this project that for each passage that I'm reading, when there's something that I don't understand in terms of customs or words, passing mention of a proper name, I try to do some research. So when I'm reading this, I'm trying to understand the purpose behind the action that we're reading. Particularly, I find this important when we're dealing with ancient cultures, because the demeanor of folks says so much more about their character than the action description, which isn't really here. As we saw in some of the first passages, when describing Zeus or Athena, it was the gray-eyed Athena. And that's roughly about the level of description we get of characters. It's more that characters are drawn out through their actions, and that actions had more meaning to them, I think, cultural meaning to them, than a lot of action description has in modern writing. I say all of that to illustrate that here in this passage, where we're meeting Telemachus for the first time, we don't really get much description of what he looks like, what his whole deal is, but we do see what he's doing, right? So when Athena first sees him, he's sitting there thinking about his father, kind of lamenting in this situation that he is surrounded by all these folks who are essentially dishonoring his father's legacy, his father's name. He does not feel like he has control over his own possessions and his own environment. And even in the midst of that, knowing that he is the lord, so to speak, of this place, he still sees Athena over by the doors and does not want to do her the dishonor of making her wait long. And even more than that, he goes over and leads her away to a quieter corner, away from all of the quote-unquote wooers or disruptors or whatever we want to be calling them. There's that line there, lest the stranger should be disquieted by the noise and should have a loathing for the meal, being come among overweening men, and also that he might ask him about his father, that he was gone from his home. So that's saying, he's taking Athena to a quieter place and hoping that essentially she doesn't ask for the manager. It's so loud and raucous in here. I think I need to talk to the manager. This is out of control. So he's trying to give her the best experience possible. He doesn't have much of a reaction to seeing Athena. I wonder if would the mortals recognize the god in their midst, a god in their midst. Usually gods take disguises when they go amongst mortals. Though Athena, I don't know, I feel like I've read many stories where she hasn't, but actually... Oh, okay, sorry. I just went back and reread yesterday's passage, and I think I had that a little bit wrong yesterday. So here's a correction, and also a good illustration of how some of these passages are going to be me learning in the moment. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Yesterday, when Athena appeared at the gates of Odysseus, it says here, on the threshold of the courtyard, holding in her hand the spear of bronze, in the semblance of a stranger, Mentes, the captain of the Taphians, which we questioned yesterday, or I questioned yesterday, who is Mentes, the captain of the Taphians. I thought she was appearing in front of a stranger, not as a stranger. So I think she is assuming the visage of Mentes, the captain of the Taphians, which would make more sense when Telemachus sees her and leads her into his home and helps her to get situated in a private corner. So that's all I got for today. Join me here tomorrow with a little bit more of Book 1 of the Odyssey. Until then, okay, goodbye. Odyssey is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. The show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Odyssey, written by Homer. Theme song by Neuroflow. You can support this show and other shows like it by going to patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.